Hi, my name is David Hawking. I'm the managing editor of the annotated edition of the Book of Mormon. Most people, when they read the Book of Mormon, when they come to Mosiah Chapter 1, verse 1, it becomes very confusing. And now there was no more contention in all the land of Zarahemla among all the people who belonged to King Benjamin, so that King Benjamin had continual peace in all the remainder of his days. Mosiah chapter 1 verse 1 is an incomplete thought, as if a prelude would help the reader understand the source of the contention in all the land of Zarahemla. Mormon, as editor, creates the prelude in his Words of Mormon. In his Words of Mormon he states, "And now concerning this King Benjamin, he had somewhat of contentions among his own people." He continues in verse 14, "And the strength of the Lord did contend against their enemies, until they had slain many thousands of the Lamanites. And it came to pass they did contend against the Lamanites until they had driven them out of all the lands of their inheritance." He then goes on and makes commentary about different prophets that come, and then finally he says at the end, "Wherefore with the help of these, King Benjamin, by laboring with all the might of his body and the faculty of his whole soul, and also the prophets, once more establish peace in the land." Now, what people don't realize, and why this Words of Mormon and why it's confusing in Mosiah chapter 1 verse 1, is that when you look at the title page of the Book of Mormon, it says, "The Book of Mormon, account written by the hand of Mormon upon plates taken from the Plates of Nephi." Now, Joseph Smith, in June of 1839, made this statement. He says, "The title page of the English version of the Book of Mormon, which is a genuine and literal translation of the title page of the original Book of Mormon, as recorded on the plates." What's important is the phrase, "the original Book of Mormon." What does that mean? Well, the original Book of Mormon were the plates Joseph Smith took from the stone box in the Hill Cumorah near Palmyra, New York in 1827. It is Mormon's abridgment. That's a key word throughout my presentation here in understanding the structure or the contents and how the plates are put together and who's recording the events. So it's Mormon's abridgment of the large plates of Nephi on his own plates. The Book of Lehi was abridged by Mormon from the large plates of Nephi. Those plates were made by Nephi about 10 years after they had left Jerusalem, or a few years after they had arrived in the New World, in the Promised Land. The Book of Lehi are the 116 pages that were lost by Martin Harris, who transcribed for Joseph in Harmony, New York. After the translation of the Plates of Mormon were complete, Oliver Cowdery wanted to go back to retranslate the Book of Mormon, and Joseph was commanded not to. And we find that in Doctrine and Covenants, section 10. Section 10 says, "Now verily I say unto you, that an account of those things which you have written, which have gone out of your hands," that is, the 116 pages translated from the Plates of Mormon. Now remember, the Plates of Mormon were made by Mormon, and it's an abridged record of the large plates, "is engraven upon the Plates of Nephi. Yea, you remember it was said in those writings," that is, the Book of Lehi, abridged by Mormon on his Plates of Mormon, "that a more particular account was given of these things upon the Plates of Nephi." He continues, he says, "And now because the account which is engraven upon the Plates of Nephi is more particular concerning the things which is in my wisdom I would bring to the knowledge of the people in this account, therefore you shall translate the engravings which are on the Plates of Nephi, even down till you come to the reign of King Benjamin, or until you come to that which you have translated, which you have retained." So what are these Plates of Nephi? Those are the unabridged small Plates of Nephi made by Nephi, and these are first-person accounts such as I Nephi, I Jacob, and so forth. And what are those plates that you had retained? What are those? Now, In the words of Mormon, Mormon makes some very critical statements. So for example, if we come down and read, "And now I speak somewhat concerning that which I have written, for after I had made an abridgment from the plates of Nephi." Now what are the plates of Nephi? Those are the large plates. That's the historical record that was started by Nephi after he had arrived in the New World, or the land of promise. "Down to the reign of King Benjamin, of whom Amaleki spake. I searched among the records which had been delivered into my hands, and I found these small plates." Now what were these small plates? They contained an account of the prophets from Jacob down to the reign of the king Benjamin, and also many of the words of Nephi. So this portion of the Words of Mormon clearly defines two sets of records: the plates of Nephi, the large plates, a historical record, and the smaller plates, they are the plates of Nephi, Jacob, Enos, Jerem, Omni. And he did this because they included the prophecies of the coming of Christ. In other words, those are the Isaiah chapters. In D&C 9, given in April 1829, the Lord spoke to Oliver Cowdery. He says, "Behold, I send to you, my son, that because you did not translate according to that which you desired of me, and did commence again to write for my servant Joseph Smith Jr., even so I would that you should continue to have finished this record." So what is this record? This record is referring to the abridged plates of Mormon. That is the original Book of Mormon, which I entrusted him. "And then, behold, other records I have." What are the other records? Those are the unabridged small plates of Nephi. That's 1st and 2nd Nephi, Jacob, Enos, and so forth. I've included this chart to help you visualize what is referred to as the original Book of Mormon and how it came to be, and why we have what we have in our current Book of Mormon, the small plates and the large plates of Nephi. So if we look at the Hill Cumorah as being the grand repository of all the records, we find that that what's located in that grand repository are the plates of brass, the plates of Lehi, the large plates of Nephi. Now those large plates were Nephi was commanded to make those plates in about 589 BC, and that was when he had arrived in the land of promise. He was commanded to start making those records for the history of his people. In that grand repository, we have the plates of ether, and we also have there's the small plates of Nephi, and he was commanded to make those plates in about 559 BC. So it was around 40 years after they had left Jerusalem when that occurred. Now, the records that were found in the stone box were the Plates of Mormon. The Plates of Mormon included the Book of Lehi, Mosiah, Alma, Helam, and so forth. All of those records were compiled by Mormon as the editor on his own plates. Moroni also took the Plates of Ether and made his record called the Book of Ether, as well as his own record, the Book of Moroni. All of this was done in Harmony, Pennsylvania. When they had completed the Book of Moroni, that is, when the translation was completed, they wanted to go back and retranslate the plates of the record of the Book of Lehi, but they were commanded not to, as we just showed that in D.C. 9 and 10, the Lord had another plan, and the plan was another set of records. Those were the small plates. Those records came from the repository, and they were given to Joseph Smith when he went to Fayette, New York. They are the ones that replace the Book of Lehi. So the unabridged small plates replaces the lost Book of Lehi, and the Mormon's abridgment of the large plates of Nephi includes extracts from first-person records like I, Alma, Zenith, and so forth. The entire book of Mosiah is chiastic, meaning that if we look at chapter 1, where it says King Benjamin exhorts his sons continual peace in the land, we'll look at the parallel down at B prime where King Mosiah exhorts his people and continual peace in the land. However, if you go further into Mosiah chapter 9, 29 verse 37 through 47, we see that Alma becomes the first chief judge and the reign of kings ended. We don't get that information in the book of Mosiah because chapters 1 and 2 are missing due to the loss of the 116 pages. So to complete the chiastic structure of the Book of Mormon, Mosiah, I start with A in brackets, the reign of the kings. That's the missing history from the lost 116 pages. The parallel is A prime, which is the reign of kings ending. All are contrary indicated in the top margin of the manuscript that Mosiah chapter 1 was actually chapter 3. So if we go back and look at Mosiah chapter 1, you'll notice that I have in brackets here B, King Benjamin exhorts his sons. C, Mosiah succeeds his father as king. The annotated edition includes chapter subheadings indicating when the chiastic structure changes. I hope this has been helpful to you. I know it's been confusing to a lot of people when they read Mosiah, when they read that first verse of chapter 1. I hope this has helped you understand how complex the Book of Mormon is and how it was placed in the stone box, that original book, and how the lost 116 pages was replaced with the small plates of Nephi in the first person account. I bear witness that the Book of Mormon is true. I know that it was translated by the gift and power of God by Joseph Smith, and he is the prophet of this last great dispensation. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.